Hey, welcome back to the channel. The Yamaha QX3 or any other old MIDI sequencer is really very useful for breaking the habit and get something else going inside your mind when you're making music. And that alone can make it very useful in 2026. So let's fire up my QX3 and see if we can get some magic going. What sets this apart from working directly in the DAW is it now frees me up from thinking about sound design and the overall production. Working on MIDI, I can now focus on song structure, harmony, melody, and get something nice going. So I'm going to make a little TV theme here to see if that works. I recorded this piano part just before you popped in, but I have a melody line in mind, I have a bass line in mind, and maybe some drums as well. And if you're wondering about the gear I'm using a Yamaha TX802 doing the electric piano from my own patch bank, by the way. I'm using a factory bass preset from the QX3, and I'm using a bell sound from the Roland D550 to use as a melody line. The piano part is already recorded on track 3, so I'm setting up the D550 on track 4, channel 4, to do that melody line part. So let's record a melody part on track 4. I've set up the Roland D550 on channel 4, so the track number and channel number will correspond. This is the sound, and I will now hit run on the QX3, and it will give me a 2-bar count-in, which I can disable. And I will also hear a metronome click because I've enabled a metronome click. So this is now recorded in the spur of the moment, just what comes to mind. I'm not worrying about sound design or how this will sound at the very end. I'm just trying to play something nice that will sweeten the thing. I will not quantize this melody part, but I can do it, of course, in the QX3. I'll get back to quantizing later. So that's track 3 and track 4. And while we're on the topic of changing up your workflow, if you want to work in a computer but still want that analog feel, check out this software. This is Model 8 from Gulf Coast Synthesis. And this is a 24-track tape machine, inline mixer and stereo environment. The total opposite of a DAW. No piano rolls here, no undos. You work this as you would work in a big studio with a big console and your 24 multi-track tape machine. And after having played with this for a little while, this is a total blast compared to my standard workflow. You have auxiliary synths, effects, insert effects, etc., and even virtual synths. And you can of course use all your VST plugins as before in this as well. With enough interest, I might do a more in-depth review of this later. I'll leave a link for you in the video description if you want to check it out further. Let's go back to the QX3 video. Let's do a bass sound next on track 5 from the QX3M. What's nice about the K3 is that it has a very solid bottom end, and the bass sounds patches from it will often cut through a track. Same procedure, arm the track, run, and off I go. Okay, I just stopped there. I wasn't happy, so I'll start all over. And instead of doing some edits, I'll just erase the whole track and start over. Okay, that's recorded. Now I will quantize my bass tracks usually, so also here. So I'm using the job command and I'm entering the quantize number that will correspond with 16ths. I want to quantize this bass track to 16ths. So that's done. Let's hear it. So that sounded good enough, but I recorded into the 12th measure. I don't want that. I only want 11 measures for this little ditty. So I'll just measure delete that 12th measure, easy peasy. And now I can loop this thing internally in the QX3 if I want to by holding shift while I press run. So let's do it and hear it back. And it looped perfectly. Now sequencers like this, they don't have any undo functionality. Back in the day, what we used to have undo was to save our projects many times under different names. We still use that technique. And that was our undo basically. So that's what I just did. Now I'm setting up my master keyboard to transmit out on mid channel 8, which I'm going to use to record some drums on track number 8. Now, if I was going to be time period correct, I would have used channel 10 here for MIDI drums, but I did what I did. Drums will be coming out of the Korg DSS1. I have a little sampled kit here. I must emphasize again, what I'm doing here now is a sketch drawing of what will become a final painting later. I'm just outlining ideas here to refine in the DAW later. So let's record the drums. As I did with the bass part, I will quantize these drums, so especially the kick will line up perfectly with the bass. I have to admit also that it's kind of endearing to hear a song being built up in this very old school way, dry and not all that great sounding, but again, this isn't about how it sounds, it's about the ideas at this point. Let me just record a couple of toms as well. All the drums are going on to track 8 here, so they're not separated in any way, but that's okay. Because I want to show you the real-time tempo recording functionality of the QX3. So I have those toms in the can. Let me start this now on measure 5 and adjust the tempo in real time and record that. So let's check out the tempo here. So I just manually adjusted the tempo, slowed it down a little bit at the end of the tom fill. And in a separate menu, I can take this off, the real-time tempo recording. But it's a very nice way to add some dynamics into your arrangement if you're using the QX3, and as you did use the QX3 back in the day. So let's save that so we won't lose it. The QX3 came out in 1987 and it was by far the most advanced MIDI sequencer of its day. It's very flexible in its routing, especially with all the MIDI stuff going on. You can set it up basically however you want, receive channels, MIDI ports routed here and there, etc., etc. The QX1 had 8 physical MIDI outports. This only has 2, but it's still very flexible, and this wasn't really meant for the TX816 rack as the QX1 was. And the one big thing that these old sequencers gave us back in the day, and is responsible for many electronic classics, are what we called happy accidents. It's what I'm doing here right now. I'm copying the drum track so I can have that drum track loop indefinitely. But what I'm doing here is I'm copying this drum track MIDI information from track 8 over to track 3. I meant to copy it over to track 8 as well, but because I copied it over to track 3 will be playing that MIDI track from track 8 instead. Now, in this case, as in many cases back in the day, the result wasn't very interesting and you just had to start over. But occasionally, you sort of triggered a module or a drum machine with a MIDI track that you never thought of actually doing, and magic poured out of the speakers. And these happy accidents paved way for new inspiration and creativity. And those types of happy accidents is rarely found in modern DAWs or in modern gear production environments. It can happen, albeit in a different way, but that kind of magic really only happened decades ago. Well, the angle is maybe even bigger than the QX3 itself. My angle is creative disruption can be a good thing, using unfamiliar tools, workflows, and limitations to harvest that creativity and inspiration that you wouldn't have gotten in any other way. And if that's what you take from this video, I feel that my mission has been accomplished. I'm Espen Kraft, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.